Welcome back. This is my reaction to what happened Championship Sunday at EUIC. This is the Masters Division. We all know the game. We have Paul Chua, who I made a video about as well earlier when they were in their semifinal game. Go ahead and check it out. Versus Zachary Weed. I also made a video about them. Go ahead and check it out. Paul Chua. Let's go quick recap in case you haven't seen those videos. Paul Chua is one of the most decorated players in VGC history. 6 regional championships. They are the EUIC champion in 2023. They are a regional finalist, Toronto, that's this year, with the same team, might I add. And then 2022 World's top 4. They are a good player. They are not to be messed with. If you think that you can just walk into Paul Chua's house and not, not pay the consequences, sorry for you. Now, Paul, since then, dropped his PokePace to his team. It will be in the description down below. I will add that information for you guys. As you guys can see, I'm wearing a tie and a suit. That is for a different video, but I'm doing this one right after that one. It's going to be a content-heavy day. So, if you see me in this, just know all of it was the same day. I'm trying to grind for you guys. Paul Chua versus Zachary Weed with Raging Bolt Balance versus Spam Crown, right? We have Zachary Weed, who, if you see to my left, 2026 Las Vegas regional finalist, 2025 New Orleans top 32. Then we have all the way over here Pittsburgh 2026 top 16, 2024 Orlando top 8. That is to note because when they went to Orlando, I think this is the year Wolf won Orlando, right? I think it was 2024. It might have been 2023. Either way, last time Reg F was popular in Orlando, Zachary was playing the team Paul has right here. He was playing Raging Bolt Balance, very similar team. So Zachary, some people might say, oh, well, they have an edge. They actually ended up losing to Wolf at some point in the game, and they're featured in Wolf's video playing that team Paul has over here, playing that team. So they might understand the inner workings of it a lot better. I don't think we've ever seen Paul play Iron Crown, so that might be an advantage for Zachary Weed here. But let's go ahead and get into the video. We are going to go ahead and mute this because I will be your commentator as I have dressed up for you, as you can see. And I will also be playing this in 2x speed, pausing whenever we need to kind of talk about the game. Okay, so we are starting off with both of them. They're doing the traditional fair face-off, right? Paul is one of those players that you can tell every single second of the game they're thinking about what to do next. They're kind of working out all the game plans. And then Zach is a player that the same thing. You can see them. Sorry for the load. You can see them do the same thing. So it's 2 high-level players. We have interesting Terra options here and moves on Paul's team, right? Normally, the biggest point for me is Incineroar. Normally on Incineroar, you don't see Taunt. You see Flare Blitz, knock off, Parting Shot. Taunt is very niche now because of all of the bold Flutter Mains that are just Thunder Waving, Icy Winding, taunting themselves. You're not going to taunt a Taunt Flutter Main, but they can't taunt you back because you're not big enough of a threat as an Incineroar to try to knock them out. They're trying to Thunder Wave and taunt your Farigirafs or Thunder Wave your Urshifus or something that they feel like is going to have a lot of offensive pressure. Most of the time, people just assume that Incineroar is going to go for a fake out and pivot out. And that's kind of what Paul did for a little bit. But remember, they're going up for a special offensive team. The other thing to note is this is the Swords Dance variant of Heart Flame. It's not the Follow Me variant, which is a very strong attacker in itself. Sash Urshifu, Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, Detect. And for the rest of the team, it looks fairly basically exactly what people run. Booster Flutter Main, so it has a little bit, I think, of speed And we actually have the team, so we can look at it later. But let's go and look now at Zachary's team. Zachary's team is also very interesting. Zachary's team has the Follow Me variant of Heartflame, which is very useful in these Iron Crown teams. The double redirection kind of helps a lot with Iron Crown survivability since it is weak to that fire. Then we have Urshifu here with Taunt. So another Taunt on a Pokemon we normally see something else on. But Urshifu Taunt was kind of big at one point in Regulation I believe. Then we have Tornadus, Rain Dance, Bleak Wind Storm, Tailwind. This is the Covert Cloak, not the Sash version. Obviously, Sash is on Urshifu. Iron Crown, Typhon Clutter, Expanding Force, Calm Mind. This is the Calm Mind version, not the Terra Blast one, which is also interesting. And it's also Terra Dragon. Then we have Landorus Therian. Lando is an interesting pick for this team because Earthquake doesn't synergize very well with most of it except for Tornadus. Tornadus and Lando up front can cause a lot of problems for teams. And it is Choice Bandit, so it's going to do a lot of damage. You don't have the paralysis hacking that you do with Fluttermane, but you do have some of it here with that Rock Slide. And then we have Indeedee Female, right? No attacking moves whatsoever, but it's here. Oh, wait, it does have Dazzle and Gleam. Sorry. Dazzle and Gleam, Follow Me, Helping Hand, and Trick Room with that Rocky Helmet, and it has the Fairy Terrestrialization, so they can do a couple more damage. Now, moving on, let's go ahead and start the battle. We start off the battle. Wait, that's not starting off the battle. Okay. We start off the battle. Both of them are locked in, right? Ready to go. We have one of them with their Mouse Hold plushie, but they didn't bring Mouse Hold. One thing I want to note as well about Zachary Weed's team is that it is a variant of another team that traditionally has Regidrago on it. And Regidrago is also very good on this team. Actually, Benji ran a version of it with Drago. Benji is someone from my Discord. Shout out to Benji. They ended up placing top 124, I think. We start off with Fluttermane Urshifu versus Urshifu and Heartflame. Now, let's see what they ended up doing. These are two very high skill players. We end up getting a double up on the Urshi, it looks like so far, with Moonblast and Surging Strikes in case of a switch out. But there's a Terra right away from Zachary's side. They go for the Stellar Terrorization. Follow Me. And they're just going to do some big damage here. The Moonblast is not enough. Surging Strikes is coming out. And is it going to be able to knock off this Fluttermane in one hit? Yes. The 3 little hits is able to get Fluttermane out of there. They're not dealing with no paralysis. And because this Ogerpon is not Terra, it's not going to get knocked out by these Surging Strikes. In comes Rillaboom, adding Fake Out pressure to the game now. Remember, Urshi can hit through Protect, so this Urshifu, if it decides to go for a move, can still attack. But Zachary also has Grassy Glide now because of Terrain being active. Urshifu gets taken out of the game. Indeedee is brought in, rewriting the Terrain. Rillaboom immediately. Paul's like, I'm not playing with that. Switches out. In comes their own Heartflame. Ivy Cudgel does pitiful damage. Surging Strikes is hitting, but Rocky Helmet is going to do a lot of damage back onto Paul's Urshifu. And Rocky Helmet does about, like 40%. Indeedee is now about the same range as Urshifu. Let's see what they end up locking in. Ivy Cudgel to take out Ogerpon, it looks like. And then we're going to go ahead and detect from the Urshifu, knowing that it's important to keep it alive. Urshifu on Paul's side detects, while Zachary Weed's Urshifu comes out, and Ivy Cudgel just ends up picking up their first kill for Paul. But you can see the game state here. They're kind of low on both ends. They're whittling itself out. But the Urshifu on Zachary's side is kind of ready, right? Like, you've seen the double redirection kind of working for Zachary very well, which is very good and interesting to note. And then we have Paul, who's just like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here, IV cudgel as many things as I can, get some damage off. Now we see Urshifu saying, hey, I don't want you to IV cudgel anything else. I'm done with your redirection. I'm going to get you out of here. And the close combat from this Urshifu is enough to bring their Urshifu down to Sash. Iron Crown in the back, switching in. Unfortunately, grassy terrain is put up by Rillaboom, and they're not able to get those super effective expanding forces off. If this was a different game, and that was not the case, this Iron Crown may have been able to make a comeback. Unfortunately, because it has a strong spread, right? And there's almost no life left in this Urshi. And what can this Rillaboom do to it if it terrestrializes into Dragon, right? Oh, wait, it already terrestrialized into Stellar. Sorry. It says, you know what? I'm going to Terra. Surging Strikes isn't going to KO because it is a Steel Psychic type. But the follow-up from this Rillaboom is going to be able to pick up the kill. And that is game 1, locked and loaded. High horsepower, does good damage, and Paul wins game 1. Paul, Chua, one step closer to being the EUIC regional champion. Zach Weed, put in the back burner now. And they need to really pull in from their bag of tricks with Iron Crown and see if they can get a win on Paul to keep their dreams alive. One thing for sure, if the game goes anything like this one just did, Paul will be the EUIC champion. We see a couple of the clips here of the highlights of the kills from the Pokemon, but those clips don't always tell the full story. Paul Chua making sure that they put in Rillaboom, took out Rillaboom, and then played inside of opposing terrain while Iron Crown wasn't there, and made sure that their terrain was available when they needed it, was the winning factor. We have a different lead for both players. We have Indeedee Crown versus Bolt Incin. Now, this is the Calm Mind variant of Bolt. And then we have, switching out right away and bringing in Lando. Super effective on that Raging Bolt, so it makes sense. But Raging Bolt is out of there. They're like, nope, I'm out of here. And they're bringing in Rillaboom to take out that terrain. As Incineroar goes for a fake out, Iron Crown now, I think going back to full with the terrain, but we will see how Zach just straight switch for Rillaboom. They're not staying around. Rillaboom has been the MVP for a lot of Paul's work this week, but as well as Incineroar, but they just switch it in and out to make sure that they have control of the terrain. We see parting shot from Incineroar here, putting in work, making sure that Iron Crown can't do any damage, and now they're bringing in Heart Flame, which is in an advantageous position because it has terrain on its side. Zach's Urshifu is in a bit of trouble because they're facing Thunderclap, and they're also facing a Grassy Glide. If they switch out into Indeedee, Iron Crown has been had their special attack drop. There's that Grassy Glide. Thunderclap does not go through because all they do is taunt to make sure they keep Paul Chua's Raging Bolt at bay. If they would have attacked, Urshifu would have been gone. And it's kind of surprising that Urshifu lived with so much HP. Yeah, they are Focus Sash, so I assume they were just going to go straight into Focus Sash. But this Heart Flame has not terrestrialized and got the attack boost. This turn is crucial. Whatever they decide to do, which is withdraw Urshifu, but Indeedee comes out, setting up the terrain. The problem is that, one, Zach is negative special attack because of the parting shot, or I think there might be neutral. Either way, they're not boosted. And then you have a bad situation for Raging Bolt because now Thunderclap can't go because of the priority blockage. We see it terrestrializing into Dragon, which ends up sealing its fate because Raging Bolt is super effective and does Dragon Pulse. There was another variant of this team running around with Terra Water, which is pretty good for this specific situation. Or at least it's way better because they can deal with Heart Flame. They can deal with the Raging Bolt because priority is blocked, right? And that means that they can't hit you with an electric type move. All they can go is Dragon Pulse. Terra Fairy might also be good, specifically into Bolt balance, because then it wouldn't be able to hit you with either or. We have Urshifu coming in, switching out for Ndidi. Landorus replacing Iron Crown. In comes Incineroar, intimidating both of these physical attackers. Ivy Cudgel is going in and finishing off the Urshifu. Let's see what this Landorus locks into. And it is going to be the Rock Slide, but after being dropped its special as attack, it's going to do almost nothing to this Incineroar. In comes Rillaboom, rewriting the terrain, and then Ndidi, since it's slower, is going to rewrite the terrain again. They are going to stick into Psychic terrain, which is going to make it so that Rillaboom can't do Fake Out. But since Landorus is flying, it can Fake Out Landorus. Flying types aren't affected by terrain effects, so it's not protected by that Psychic terrain. We have a very difficult situation for Zachary. Some would say it's unwinnable. Rillaboom comes back out. Because they still have Raging Bolt to pivot, they are going to also lose the terrain. Helping Hand, though, coming out from Ndidi, and Landorus does pitiful damage even with the Helping Hand. Paul is just so good at what he does. He's like, I'm going to switch out, bring in, and then I'm going to Parting Shot. You're already doing no damage. Now you're going to do negative damage. And my switch is going to make it so that I can set up terrain again. And guess who's going to get a little bit more terrain recovery here? My Bolt, which is going to make it so that it doesn't die and be able to take out your Ndidi. Because that little 11 HP might have been the percentage that was regained from leftovers and grassy terrain. Protect, so they don't pick up another kill. Grassy Glide. Rock Slide goes through. It's protected. And again, the game here is sealed. Now with the leftover recovery and the Grassy Seed recovery, there is very little chances that this Landorus can even pick up a kill on this Raging Bolt. And that is how Paul Chua becomes your 2026 champion. You could see how happy they are. That was one of my favorite things about seeing them win. Sometimes these people, you can see when they win, they'll like be super happy, but like in a like, yes, I conquered it kind of way, like kind of egotistical way. And Paul just looks like a genuinely like gleeful kind of guy. Like, yeah, I did it. I'm so happy. I didn't think I could do it again. Like, look at that smile. Look at that face. He just doesn't know what to feel, how to think. And this is a man who's won a lot in his life. Like, he's won 6 regional champions. Now he has 2 EUIC championships. They've been top 4 at Worlds. They're a good player, and they still react with that kind of like reaction of like pure joy and like glee. And you don't see that very often when these players start getting a lot of wins. Notably, last year when Wolf won, they were happy. But for them, it was more of a redemption arc. Like, yeah, I did it. Like I said I was going to do it. Everyone thought I wasn't going to do it. I was the underdog. It wasn't enough. Paul Chua proving in 2026 that they are enough to be 2026 EUIC champion. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my reaction to this, kind of like my review over it. Paul Chua plays amazing. Kind of been following him for a while in the way that, like, I saw them play at my first regional that I watched. And that was the first Regulation H regional. That's when I started playing really, when I was like, oh, these are a thing. People do this competitively. And he was there. He ended up losing to Nicolas Morales in the end. But he has always just kind of been a constant, player there. He's been playing for a while now too. So seeing him pick up a final, like actually a win, because I'm usually used to him get second in the last couple years a lot, is really good and feels really good from someone that has kind of been in their corner for a lot of these games and been like, oh, Paul is a really good, like he plays well, like he's the balance dude, like that's what he is. He's the balance dude. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm out.